Hey, everybody, Mike Edwards, and you're listening to the show Empowered Until Further Notice. And I'm here with my guest and good friend, Joanne Stone.
Thank
Joanne,
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to anybody who may be watching us?
Oh my goodness me. Introducing oneself is kind of scary, right? So how do you do that? But I
I'll
like
keep you honest, don't worry.
don't worry. The way that I like to kind of introduce myself is through my fascinations. I just like what I'm fascinated with. So I'm fascinated with what emerges out of great teams, and what like that magic that when people come together that pops out of that. I'm fascinated about leaders, like strong female leaders. I follow quite a few, and I'm fascinated about what makes them tick. And I'm fascinated about gnarly complex problems, right? So and that's basically anything that that's out there right now. Like, how can you take that apart? How does it work? Like and but my work that I do is around teams, is around leaders, is around my toolkit that I call it's in my back is around agile, and that we're both in that same space. And I love to bring that in to kind of like look at how we can solve and chip away at these gnarly problems, and how I can support the leaders to step into and leaders, not just leaders of the team, but all the leaders that are there. I don't care about your title, to step into this great impactful leadership that they can be. So and yeah, anyways, that's sort of the
Awesome.
stuff. That's good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
awesome.
great.
Of course.
Well,
Of course.
and the only other thing is I'm a proud mother of 4 beautiful girls, so I have to sit there and say if I don't share that
Well, that would be true because you
yeah,
do talk about them a lot. So I know
yeah,
you're
I
proud
do.
of them. Yeah. Yeah. There's another thing I think you should share,
Oh,
which is coming up at Agile 2022. You have
yes.
an amazing opportunity or
Yeah.
experience that you're going to go.
Yeah, I am. So another friend, a friend of ours, actually, Lisa Atkins, has invited me to be part of a panel to talk about planetary issues and challenges, and what Agile can do in that particular space. And so one of the many programs and projects and things that I'm actually doing, and I think we'll get into that, is around Wick'd Agility. And so, how can we take wicked problems, the gnarly problems that I'm so fascinated with, right? And take all this amazing agility practices that we've learned over the years, and serve our community and work on some of the things which are happening. So for me, it's about working locally, and so we can make a global impact. So that's my kind of thing. And there's a stellar group that's there. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, powerful leaders, powerful women. It's a whole women panel, and I'm going, oh my gosh. And so I'm privileged and honored to be able to step into that light with all these wonderful people and wonderful ladies. So yeah, so thanks for mentioning that. It's really super exciting and
Oh,
scary.
yeah.
Scary, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's a great opportunity. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will confess I have some FOMO that's happening because I'm not going to Agile 2022.
Oh,
You know what room I would be in? First thing at well, do we circle at things anymore at conferences? But
yeah.
I would be there. So
Yeah.
hopefully they record it and make it live. Or not
I
live, but
Yeah, I
that'd
hope
be
so
cool.
too. It'll be a
Yeah.
great thing to share, but we'll definitely talk to you about what happened afterwards. You'll hear
Yeah.
it for sure. Yeah.
Very cool. So let's get into the topic here.
Hmm.
So, for everybody that's watching this, and if you've watched the other ones, what I do is I reach out to these people that are coming on as my guests, and I say, "What would you like to talk about?" And I'll be quite honest, I'm being a little selfish because it's all learning for me as well. So I love it. And so what Joanne sent me is this. Just I'm going to read a little bit of it here. And I know you didn't write this with perfect copy. Who cares?
Yeah, I know.
That's the
It's for
whole
the
live
merch.
stream thing, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Perfect. Yeah. So when I think of personal empowerment, what came up to me is stepping into fully Joanne. I am Joanne, Joanne, I am. It's too bad you couldn't have made that perfectly symmetric.
Yeah, I know.
But then it would be a question. No one can step into be me, only me. What does that feel like? How do you find it? What are the benefits of it? When I fully step into me, I feel I am taking a stake for myself. I am showing up. Showing up is not about succeeding, failing, moving forward, moving backward, or standing still. It is to experience life. Yet, how do I find this? By getting real with wicked agility, by defining it, by actioning it, by standing up it and for me. When you stand up for something you create, you really do figure out what you stand for, and it's freeing. And by the way, it didn't matter if wicked agility was the right thing or not. It was fighting for something I believed in, or at least figuring out if I believed in it or not. What I really loved about that, besides the rawness, right? Because I didn't give you the chance to make it perfect copy. But what I really love about that is it really embodies for me the title of this live stream, right? Empowered until further notice. So you're empowering your ideas, your beliefs, your whatever. You don't need to know whether or not they're going to work. You don't need to trust them. You don't just, I'm going to empower them and let's see if they take on a life of their own. What does that feel like for you?
Well, it's interesting when you said that. I know, I love. It was funny. I was going like, he's not going to read the whole thing because it was like grammatically all, but you did, and I thought that was wonderful. So it's interesting when you started to say that. It what comes to me is this magical one. I'm empowering this thing, like I'm hitting this thing. I'm hitting this. But I want to start off with that. And this is the one thing I was saying here too, is that I think we need to empower ourselves first. Like, it's just like, there's something about, stepping into who you are and owning that, right? Is this empowerment. There's this empowerment feeling. And then through that, you can then empower the ideas that you have. You can then externalize it, right? But there's an internal thing, right, that happens that goes in my mind when I start thinking about empowerment. But oh my gosh, when I think about like what it feels like, your question was what it feels like, I think it was. What does it feel like? I just feel like I'm like, and I'm actually doing this right now. I'm standing like 20 feet tall, like, and it's one of these things that, it's funny, what this is somewhat of a pattern I'm starting to see is that over the years, over the last 10 years or so, I keep growing and I keep growing and I keep growing. So physically, I feel like I'm like 40, 60 feet tall type of thing. When I feel like right into this, when I feel like I'm present, when I feel like, I'm like energized up, when I feel like alive, right? Just,
Right.
it doesn't have to be excited or sad or like, it's just all these types of emotions which are hitting to me, but it feels, the term is alive. And I guess you sense everything that's going on, right? And you're in this open, I guess the other thing is I feel very quite open. Yeah, that's the other thing is I feel open to receive whatever else is going around me as well, right? So
Yeah, I know what you're saying. We've both been on a journey of growth and change
yeah.
and transformation.
Mm-hmm.
What was coming up for me is, you feel taller, you feel stronger, you feel more open. To me, it's because we're putting down so much, right? We're empowering what we want.
Yes.
Putting down the stuff that no longer serves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that totally resonates with me. The one thing I would draw a lot and show in my classes was all the question marks in someone's head. When you talk about dropping things, the guy would have like, here's the one person, and then in comparison, here's the person with 3 question marks, and here's the person with 400 question marks or whatever that's going through their head. And you're right, like I've dropped a lot of those question marks, and each of those question marks are related to, I'm not sure, am I not good enough? Well, I got to do this, I got to do that. Like you have this list of things that are going on within your system that is maybe serving a lot of other people, not serving what matters to you. Right. And so it's more of an internalizing tons of thoughts. So yeah, so you're right. There is that bit of freedom that drops off you, right? These things that you don't think about. So you can step into and stand 40 feet tall, or whatever the metaphor works for you, right? But yeah, like I think there is that aspect. I agree totally. I've dropped a lot of those things, right? And I wish you could, and they keep coming back, by the way. To be totally real, it's like they come back, right? And I think the more that we go into these edges, right, where we are standing up for what matters to us, the more that these things will come back. And that's okay. It's recognizing it and feeling it and knowing that, you know what? Okay, I remember this guy.
And it's also knowing you got rid of it once, you can do it again and again. Right?
Yeah.
Like we truly are bigger than any problem we could encounter.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we won't encounter it again, but we truly are bigger and we can move past it.
Well, what comes to me is trust, right? It's trusting in your own ability to actually make decisions, right? And choices, and trust that you are, guided to, trust in your guidance, in your internal guidance or your internal GPS, right? As to what to do. Can I share just a cute little story?
Of course, please.
It's just, so today I was walking my dog Link, and I was walking past this park, and there's this child that was in the park, and what the grandparents were with the kid, and the grandparents started to point out my dog. Like, my dog Link is a big white Samoyed, big huge smile. Everyone's attracted to him because he's just warm, fuzzy, looks like a big huge teddy bear, right?
Yes.
So the child kind of, like, the grandparents are going, oh, look at the dog. And the girl was walking. She must have been about 2 years old or something. She was walking to a bench, and the grandparents noticed the dog, and the kid, right, turned around and looked at the dog and kind of went, yeah, cute, but I want this bench. And so it was really interesting for me, right, that we don't power that child with choices, right? Like, we don't go through all this kind of stuff with our head. There's some innate beauty in terms of in that internal guidance system, which goes, no, I want that, and I don't want that thing, right? I want this thing of over here, which was, and I don't know why she was going towards it or whatever, but I just thought that was just just seeing that was just the sweetest thing to see, right? And who empowered her, right?
Yes.
She empowered herself.
Exactly.
Right? What she wanted, right?
I think it's actually a natural ability that kids are born with. We're all born with, right? And then as we grow up, we learn society's rules and school rules and corporate rules, and it goes on. And suddenly we're not empowering things because I really shouldn't do that. That could make me look bad, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I love what you're pointing to with trust there. Because like, that kid trusts herself that that's not what she wanted. I want this. Right? I see that in my dogs too, by the way. No, that's another whole conversation.
Well, you know what? Also, though, I know we can talk about dogs. I love dogs. But the other thing is, like, there isn't a question of trusting. It's knowing. Right. And so we know it. And when we break it all down and we're trying to figure out the steps that are required in order to create this great, go back to that innate, beautiful self, right?
Yes.
We see the layers which are there. But for a child, they don't see that it's there. It's a sense of knowing, right? No questioning, but it's part of that. And it's funny how we pull apart the layers. But yeah, I think trust is, and I want to, not even worry about that. I know this is knowing. Right.
Yeah, there's no thought involved with it.
Yeah.
So a lot of growth over the last while. We've been talking about how much taller you are and how much, and you're having these amazing things that are happening.
Right.
How has that changed your view of the word empowerment? Like, how do you define empowerment today?
Oh,
Because it's a
Oh,
buzzword.
I know it's such a buzzword. So don't get me into, there's the buzzword in the agile team empowerment related stuff, but I know it's such a great buzzword. We've been talking about it, right? I think that there's this aspects of um, when I think of power, I think of owning. I think of and that's why I like the personal empowerment, right? Like it to me, it's like it's not control over another person, or it's allowing me to walk fully into who I am. And there's something about empowerment where there's I don't have to, it's not it's the knowing aspect too, right? There's no choice. There's no someone has given it to me, right? No one's given it to me, right? I've taken it. I've grabbed it, right? I own that,
Yeah,
right?
it's the idea
So
of full permission.
it's, yeah, that's what comes up for me is it's I have full permission to do what I want to do in that particular moment, right? So it feels, so to me, I think we talk about the responsibility process, right? Like it's like it's when you're stepping into full responsibility, right? Um, so yeah, it's such a what's your definition? Like, what's your definition of empowerment?
Full permission,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Like when it comes to myself, it's giving myself full permission. Because when
Right.
I do that, I
Yeah.
don't have to worry, am I gonna screw this up or make some kind of big blunder or whatever? Because guess what? I've got
Yeah.
full permission, so I know if that happens, I
Yeah.
know I'm bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
Back to some of that trust stuff. It's trusting myself
Right.
that I can clean up any mess.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, yeah, it like I back to what I wrote yesterday once I was really pondering about the word empowerment. It's trusting that whatever happen, like to me, I don't care if it's about, if I get successful at it, or if it's not about being successful or failing, or just sitting. It's not about any of those things.
Right.
It's to step into and fully and just I love that fullness aspect, right? When you step
Yeah.
into yourself fully and you're owning it,
Yeah.
right? And you're owning who you are with no
Mhm.
question, no doubt, no nothing. It's just you step right into it, right?
Yeah.
So full permission to show up to be me. That's why I think I am Joanne, I am, right? Because I'm showing up as me, right?
Mhm.
And no one's giving that to me. I'm giving it to me, right?
Exactly. And I know you well enough to know you're also not holding back because somebody might be uncomfortable with full Joanne.
Right.
Although I can't imagine anybody uncomfortable with the full Joanne.
There are some people that are very uncomfortable with me because I call things out, right? So, and I'll have to sit there and say that's probably one of those things that, innately I was born with, like I'll call crap out, and I'm not made the best friends because of that, right? But not the best friends, but it's just I think when I was doing it younger, there was a big consequence to that, right?
Right.
And as I've the maturity that I have now, I know what that gift is. It was a real beautiful gift. It's just that I didn't have the maturity enough to kind of know how to aim it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
So empowerment, let's go to wicked agility or like
Yeah.
wicked problems, for example.
Yeah.
I know the context. Why don't you explain what a wicked problem is or a gnarly problem?
Yeah, so a definition of a wicked problem is it has multiple symptoms, multiple solutions. It can span across countries. It takes the power of a team to solve, right?
Mhm.
You can have wicked problems within wicked problems. It's the one way to sit there and give an example, poverty, COVID, it would be a wicked problem. Climate change is a wicked problem. Cynefin, they go into complex problems. So it's in that complex area where we don't know the direct consequence. We don't know what that solution is. And we just have to look at chipping away at it. Right.
Right.
So that's my definition of a wicked problem. And so, like it's very complex, right? And sometimes we can't solve it in our lifetime. So mainly what we do is engage in it, right? And try and figure out ways to chip that away at it so we can improve upon it, right? Improve upon its impact.
Yeah, and I gotta think if a team or a person is lacking personal empowerment,
yes,
trying to chip away at those things, it's either going to be really, really hard, if not downright impossible.
Yes.
Because this idea of, like you're right, it's in that complicated corner. And if we're not willing to try stuff and do stuff and put ourselves out there, you're not going to shift it. It's the only way you can figure out your way through the problem.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting, right? And this is where, the Wick'd Agility and stuff was when that was born for me. There is something in it that just having that problem, like whenever you launch a new business or anything like that, like it's always quite challenging, right? So, and I wasn't really quite sure, is this the thing I wanted to do or whatever the case would be, but it combined all these different fascinations for me. So yes, it's mine. So, but what I think though is our leaders, they can be like people who want to chip away at these problems. They're compelled to kind of to do this, and through actually chipping away at it, they become empowered, right? And some actually may start off that way, knowing with full clarity that this is the problem I want to do, because and I have full clarity as to how I'm going to my approach to tackling it. They may not have the solution or anything like that, but they trust in themselves to kind of go and take that one step at a time. I mean, I think of Jose Andres and what he does as a World Central Kitchen, and how he pops into countries, and it's that trust in himself to know that he can go out there and do whatever that's required that matters. And so, and I can make up that he wasn't born that way, right? And I think that what you need to do is when you have something you stand for, that you matter, like sometimes all these things, those 1,000 question marks will get in your way, right? And so I think the more that we can step into and remove all of those types of question marks, right, then the more that we can step into full empowerment and own, and have that full permission to kind of, and there's nothing that's holding us back, those anchors, those ropes, that whatever it is that may be holding you back, is there's less of them, right? That you can fully step into it and be fully empowered. But I think there's an aspect of, I don't think we don't have to wait in order to chip away to be fully empowered, right? I think there's a combination of the two, which just makes for this to happen. And that's what Wick'd Agility has done for me. It's just helped me step into Joanne badassery, right? Whatever this is. Sometimes badass, sometimes, whatever, bad apple. But it's like,
and I think the important thing I heard in there is don't wait for full empowerment, because quite frankly, I don't think it's possible to like, it's not a destination,
right?
Like none of us can ever feel fully empowered. There'll also always be one of these question marks showing up, so just find a little bit and go.
Well, and I guess what comes to me, and we're both in the coaching profession, right? We can spend years and years doing coaching, right? And we can look at always improving yourself and stuff like that, but unless you make it real,
none of it matters.
It helps, but it's like, I think making it real kind of allows you to doing things when you're working on things that matter like that. It just it kicks into high gear, and then it's like an addictive kind of like.
I know nothing about
that. For some people, maybe not. I mean, it's not always perfect, by the way, but there's a grit aspect to it, right? To continue to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I've learned over the last year is nobody's keeping track of my mistakes. So when I
Mm,
empower something and it kind of falls flat,
yeah.
nobody knows, nobody notices, like nobody's going, oh, there's another one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
need that. Can you give me that? That's probably one of my biggest question marks, right? Who's tracking me, right? Like no one's gonna, yeah. Oh, yeah, I gotta let go of that one.
Yeah.
And no one has that list. You're right. Only me.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm,
So wicked. I knew this
mm.
would be a wicked conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you want people to take from this conversation?
Oh my gosh. This is like the wicked wisdom that I like to kind of like.
Oh, I love that. What's your wicked wisdom?
um, that's a really good one. I like that. When I think of, and so I'll tie it to the empowerment and until further notice. And I think that's just I my wisdom is to, in order to figure out who you are and what you know what you're all about, you need to you need to do something, and you need to kind of like work on something that you feel compelled to do. And it doesn't matter if it's like the it's a small thing, a big thing, or whatever, but through that you're going to learn how to show up, you're going to learn how to empower yourself. And the other thing about until further notice that I was telling you about, like when I was replying back, is it's such a it just reminds me that we're human, right?
Mhm.
And so it's okay that you mean maybe you don't feel anything with that one, right? Maybe the whole thing is it's the next thing, right? That you're gonna that the next thing that really matters to you. So drop wicked agility, go into lioness camps. Um, maybe that is it. Well, go for that and see what comes up and shows up for you, right? And it's true that we get to start standing up taller and taller and taller, right? But it will happen, right? Trust,
Yeah,
trust yourself, it will happen. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, man.
You're such a community builder too.
Mm-hmm,
And what I
mm-hmm.
was thinking at it of is, thinking about something like COVID or climate change or world poverty, like whatever it is, one of these great big huge problems, it can be overwhelming and easy to go,
Yes.
yeah, but just imagine if even half the world's population just started chipping away at the problem,
Yeah, yeah.
right? That's how gnarly problems get solved.
And that's why indeed I want to do things locally,
Yeah.
right? So if we can take this way of working and actually bringing it into our communities, right? This way of being, right? And what a difference we could make, right?
Oh,
And I know through the interviews that I do with the community and people that are out there that work in our communities, they can teach us a lot of stuff too, right? So
absolutely.
it's a two-way street, right? It totally is.
Absolutely.
And be surprised. Be surprised, because you know what? I never know what emerges. So it's just amazing to see what emerges,
Yeah,
right? From stepping in to full empowerment, right? Or stepping into our
absolutely.
communities and stepping into, be surprised. Like things will merge and you will
Yeah,
be surprised. Trust
yeah,
in it. It will
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
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 Awesome. So
Mhm.
if people want to connect with you, what's the best way?
I have a website, which is www.get-wicked.com. So there is, so you can see me there, and there's a contact me on the bottom of that. Or if you see me in LinkedIn, you can also join me there in LinkedIn. And I'm Joanne Stone from Toronto. There is a Joanne Stone in the U.S. that she's an amazing physician and doctor. She's written books, but yeah, different. I think she's
Different
not so
Joanne.
much different than Joanne, but Joanne Stone from Toronto. Yeah, coach. And you'll find me there.
Yeah, and if you're actually watching this on LinkedIn, if you go below the video, you'll find a connection to Joanne.
All right.
And so follow her there. So when's the book coming out?
You are like, everyone has asked me that. They keep asking me for the book. I don't know. I mean, I think I have to just sit down and start writing something. I don't know what it is, but I can't wait. Yeah, a book will come out sometime, I'm sure. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Mike. It's been such a pleasure. It's
Oh, thank you
amazing.
for being here.
Yeah,
It's
you're
always fun to talk with you.
welcome.
Lots of laughs all around.
Yeah, for sure.
Any final thoughts?
No, I just, just final thoughts. Maybe space. Maybe that's the thing that's coming up for me. It's been a crazy last couple of years, and give yourself some space and some compassion and some love, and
Yeah.
that would be the final word. Don't push yourself, even though we're asking you to be more empowered and all that stuff. If it's not the right time, it's not the right time. Give yourself space. So yeah, that would be my final thought. Yeah.
Beautiful thought. We all need more space, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, coming up next week on Tuesday, June 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern, my next guest is Jeff Kosakiw, and we're going to be talking about host leadership. It's a book from 2014, I think I saw, and he's caught my interest with it, and I think it's good. Well, I was going to say, I think it's going to be a good conversation. Kind of like you, Jeff. Yeah, it's hard to have a bad one. So watch for the link in social media or head over to leadingforchange.ca and sign up for the newsletter to get notified about these. All right, everybody have a great week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Bye.